Hello and welcome to another anime lore and theory video. I'm Shergok, your host, and today I will take a look at how Elder Liches work in Overlord and why without them the Sorcerer Kingdom of Ainz Ooal would be in deep trouble. But before we are going to take a closer look at all of this, let me quickly thank my Patreons for supporting this channel and say my thanks to all users of the YouTube thanks function for making one-time donations. And finally, there's a full-length companion video about why undead sorcerers would hate life, linked down in the video description, so check this out after this one here. And with that said, let's dive into the topic at hand. Elder Liches are among the most important undead beings in the entirety of the Sorcerer Kingdom, and a significant threat to all life in the New World. But let's start from the beginning. What exactly are Elder Liches? Well, they are undead casters with immense magical power and significantly larger mana reserves compared to most beings of the New World. This stands out noticeably. For example, Davanok. The Elder Lich was exposed as an undead caster since the adventurer group he had joined to become stronger quickly noticed that it was quite unusual for this caster, clad in clothing and armor from head to toe, to unleash so many fireballs in rapid succession without becoming tired, due to his high mana consumption. And so, Davanok had no choice but to look for a new team. Here, we also see some other characteristics of these undead casters. Elder Liches are not only blessed with high magical strength and mastery of the third tier of arcane magic, but, like all undead, they are also immune to fatigue. Their bodies are animated by magic and dark energy, making them impervious to tiredness or exhaustion. This is because they lack a biological body with muscles, tendons, a circulatory system, or a lung that can get tired or overworked. They are also not weakened by damage, the way a human, for example, with one broken rib would be. Even multiple broken ribs makes only very limited differences, affecting only the stability of the Elder Lich if at all. They continue to be animated, to be moving and working by dark energy, so their ribs do not hurt, and they do not lose the ability to move just because their chest muscles are severely damaged or detached from their bones like a human would. Simply because they don't have these muscles, they are animated by magic. Naturally, without a heart, lungs, organs, or blood vessels, there are no critical hits that can be landed. Also, stabbing and cutting weapons cause less damage than they would to a normal human, because there's no flesh to pierce and cut. However, Elder Liches are susceptible to blunt damage, as their old bones, which now solely make up their body, lack the protective layer of flesh, fat, and muscle, in sufficient quantity at least, to absorb the blow. They are also weak against fire and holy magic. Specifically holy magic, whether it is damage-dealing spells or just healing magic that mend wounds and restore tissue, is an immense threat to Elder Liches. This is because it is composed of positive energy, or life energy. Essentially, the caster's own mana is converted into this living energy, which directly heals or reduces the negative energy within the undead, which is essentially their very essence. What is radioactive radiation to us, things that shatter our DNA, our very essence, is holy energy to the undead. So much for their strength and weaknesses. Now let's discuss how these undead beings fight. As mentioned earlier, Elder Liches are very powerful casters compared to the residents of the New World. And as mentioned, their preferred weapon in combat is magic. Elder Liches thanks to their third-tier magic, can cast spells like Fireball to wipe out entire enemy groups in just a single strike. Additionally, in narrow passages and tunnels, they even have an advantage that their opponents will eventually run out of oxygen, while the Elder Lich does not need to breathe or be affected by toxic carbon monoxide that his fire produces. They can always fight with their full energy, and they also do not tire, giving them a significant advantage during long drawn-out battles and pursuits, since their opponents will get tired sooner or later. Spells like Lightning allow them to pierce through enemies, even if they are standing in close formation and are protected by armor. Furthermore, they can also learn a variety of other magic. Some of them can create immense miasmas that obscure vision and poison the enemies. Some can fly, while others can immobilize the enemies with solid ice-based attacks. They are also capable of learning teleportation spells, which enables them to avoid melee combat where they would be at a disadvantage as casters. They will not hesitate to send lesser undead, like skeletons or zombies, to engage the enemy first, in order to understand their abilities and tactics. Moreover, they will also retreat if the battle is going poorly for them, and they can even absorb the life force of living beings and heal themselves simultaneously by making contact with their bodies, making them truly terrifying foes in the new world. They do not require sleep and also can see in the dark, which makes them additionally very dangerous at nights or in low-light environments. And finally, as previously mentioned, in contrast to zombies and skeletons, which possess only a rudimentary intelligence, Elder Liches are characterized by sharp understanding and long-term thinking. This is what makes them much more dangerous than mindless and aggressive undead. Now, all undead beings hate life itself and seek to eradicate it completely, but while skeletons and zombies openly march on the first living being or human settlement that they encounter to attack and end it, Elder Liches share the same goal, but execute it with much greater intelligence. Elder Liches can be very self-reflective. For instance, taking Davanok as an example, he knows that with his current powers, spells, and mana reserve, he could wipe out entire villages. Yet he also knows that he is not invincible, and life ultimately could triumph over death when he perishes in battle. Therefore, Elder Liches like him can suppress their hatred for life and peacefully cooperate with living beings over years, decades, centuries, and if necessary, millennia, without succumbing to frenzy or insanity. This makes them incredibly dangerous. Davanok, for instance, existed for years within a human society, within the city of Liches, a city with 1 million human living residents, at least before the invasion of Ainz Ooal. Still, Davanok does not attack living beings out of sheer rage or spite. He behaves quietly and inconspicuously. While Zero recruited him into his criminal organization, the Six Arms, the enforcers of the Eight Fingers Crime Syndicate, he received a mentor who taught him magic. He received access to magical literature and magical items that greatly enhanced his strength in exchange for his service. For example, the orb in his hand strengthened the spell Fireball and Lightning, while the robe provided protection from fire damage, which was a deadly weakness for the Elder Lich. He also wore a deflection ring, which likely is an item that deflects either magical or perhaps low-tier physical damage, similar to Nana Hoshi's 2 rings. And I know what you're thinking, and yes, you're right. He assisted other living beings in his activities, albeit by ending the life of others on Zero's orders. But Davanok was focused on the future. What are a few decades in the service of a living being, when over centuries and millennia he would become so powerful that he could eventually end all life? and like him, many Elder Liches think in a similar fashion. But, of course, not all of them live within human society. Some seek out headquarters far away from any civilization, in ruins and rubble, where they can gather followers, whether they are alive or dead, and accumulate spells and items and research. And even if they are pushed into a corner, or even if they have adventurers cornered, it does not mean they will automatically kill them. Again, Elder Liches are intelligent, and if they deem it more useful to avoid a fight, they will. This means that even if the adventurers are cornered, the Elder Lich will still acknowledge that they have nothing more to lose than their life, because they are as good as dead anyway, and offer them a way out in exchange for, let's say, some useful items. Of course, the adventurers won't undress from their armor and lay down their weapons, because they would fear that the Elder Lich will attack them right then and there. But if they possess magical items that are not crucial for combat, such as a compass or a magic scroll with a spell unknown to the Elder Lich, they can exchange these for their lives. Because the last thing the Elder Lich wants is to go down in a suicidal attack by a furious enemy. It may be that his lightning spell has pierced the heart of the hero, and that he is dying in just a few seconds. However, if his adrenaline-fueled body continues to rush forward and smash his hammer into your very skull, you haven't won anything either. In a similar manner, adventurers won't always risk fighting an Elder Lich, even when they are fairly sure they can win. An adventurer, especially a level-headed one, would not prioritize the death of the monster at any cost. So instead of engaging the Elder Lich in combat with his 5 siblings only to end up as an only child at the end, all for some nobleman to roam in the ruined estate of his former enemies that he himself had set on fire in his younger years, when he wiped out an entire rival house, and that is now infested by an Elder Lich who had mistaken the ruin for an abandoned place, wouldn't be worth it. On the other hand, when the Elder Lich gives up his gold, lets a magical item or two fall into their hands, and is then allowed to pack up his possessions and his magical research before disappearing from the house of the Count's former enemies, it could be a rewarding deal for both parties. The Elder Lich stays alive, or rather undead, and can continue working on ending all life, even if it takes a decade to replace the items and the gold that were stolen from him, while the adventurers now have acquired a substantial amount of gold and 2 very powerful items without any fight, and also have secured the estate. Of course, they would report that the Elder Lich escaped a few days later, as the guild somehow forget to mention that he can also teleport. But that would be the next adventurer group's problem, and the 6 brothers can also now look forward to a substantial guild reward, buy new weapons and items, and still be well off for 1 or 2 years, even if they live it up, thanks to the Elder Lich's gold. Elder Liches, at least some of them, are also capable of not attacking each other upon making eye contact to steal the magical research of others and copy and study their spells, as demonstrated by the Elder Liches in the Corpus of the Abyss, an undead and fairly stealthy magical research organization. This makes them even more dangerous, because they become stronger and stronger, quietly and secretively. Elder Liches have time, infinite time, and it only takes one of them to succeed for all life to be gone forever. So much for the naturally occurring Elder Liches. Now let's discuss the obedient Elder Liches. Like all subordinates and NPCs, they can always perceive the aura of the one they are absolutely loyal to, and as seen as in the example of Iguva 41, they serve their creator with complete devotion and to the best of their knowledge and conscience. For example, Iguva followed Kokuto's command because Ainz had ordered him to do so, and Iguva had an ardent, almost fanatical admiration for his creator and served him with great pride. Even in the second of his death, he only thought about Ainz Ooal and felt terrible that he had disappointed him. As a result of his loyalty, Ainz Ooal's subordinates, much like Nezeric's NPCs, do whatever the undead overlord commands. This has led to the Elder Liches now filling various roles in the bureaucracy of the Sorcerer Kingdom. They manage the administration and bureaucracy, making them the backbone of the kingdom's bureaucratic apparatus. While they can also be used in combat, unlike Death Knights and Death Warriors, only they can manage the administration appropriately. They are also entrusted with judicial and executive tasks. Now, it may sound like death sentences are handed out daily with them more or less in charge, but here's the thing. Ainz Ooal has ordered the Elder Liches to be just and to only pass judgment on those who deserve it. This means that the Elder Liches don't just go slashing through the prisoners with a scythe. Instead, the witnesses and the accused are put under mind control, and they are then instructed to tell the complete and unaltered truth. This not only makes determining the guilt or innocence of an accused rather easy, but it also led to some criminals who were sent by the Barut Empire for interrogation, returning with a statement that they were falsely accused and framed. The entire justice system, however, always rests on Ainz Ooal's command. If Ainz were to give the Elder Liches free reign, death would be a guarantee. However, since he doesn't do something like this, and wants to be seen as a peaceful king ruling over a peaceful kingdom, the Elder Liches tirelessly process forms and applications, organize logistics and construction projects, as well as other smaller everyday state affairs. And with that said, now it's your turn. Let me know your thoughts about this video and of course about the Elder Liches of Overlord. And remember, there's a full-length companion video about why undead sorcerers would eventually hate all life. So check it out. And while you do all of this, let me thank you very much for watching and say my special thanks to Ader Daddy Ader, ASK, Bad Guy Ye, Bad Burrito 316, Beezer, Ben C, Brandon D, Chrissy, Crowley 0221, Sia, Crystal Prime, Dead Slime, Death is Mercy, Deathless Dragonlord, Demon Xenomorph 1987, Devin Downen, Ding Dong, Dragonlord Placido Saxophone, Duckwagon, Dunkler Krieger, Dystopia, Dystopia II, Enigmatic Unicorn, Ferashivan, Guy with That Hat, Hector Marino, Hoss, Huster, Jacob G, Jana B, Jason, J. Morris, Chromius, Kyle R, Lee K. Long, Legendarius, Lelouch Britannia with a Mustache, Lexus Fox, Lord Nishikian Rai, Lord Touch Me, Loverazor, Mervek, Mr. Shoes, Mr. Tweaker, Michael R, Michael Y, Nope, Oh Hell No, Normal Toad, O'Kill, Overlord General Gasper, Paddy Pantum, Personage, Primus 11, Rhinomere, Q&A Caracos P, Shergox's Daddy, Shadow Lightning Wolf, Shrine Keeper, Super Tier Magic Batista Bomb, Supreme Cheese, Staris, Ted, Texas Deer, The Orc Warboss, Rocket Smasher, T.E. Wang, Vash Hawkeye, Vegito27, Venture Fanatic, Wilhelm, Xenokai, and Sonnegon. Thanks guys. Anyway, have a nice day, and I hope to see you all again soon on my next video.